Hey everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to my channel. As the years go by and I continue to reflect on my teaching career, one thing always seems to crop up in my mind, and I wonder how I bought into it for as long as I did. And no, not the concept of a forever career, since I covered that in my last episode, but rather teacher martyrdom. This ingrained idea or notion that teachers are supposed to live and breathe education both inside and outside of the classroom. For as long as anyone can remember, teachers have always been expected to do more with less, arrive ready to teach students, stay for a long time afterwards prepping things for the next day, and be present 24/7 for whatever students, parents, or administrators wanted of us. Which clearly isn't healthy, and not even for the obvious reason of how that leads to exhaustion, but it completely ignores human nature. We all have wants, needs, and interests that drive us beyond our jobs. No normal job ever remotely expects their workers to be answering emails at 1 in the morning or never take time off. But education does expect that. You have no idea how many administrators got angry with me over the years that a parent said I didn't immediately reply to their email despite it being sent again at 1 a.m. They actually told me that I should be doing that and that it reflected badly on me that I wasn't. Same for teachers being looked down on for taking a sick or vacation day when it was required. Sure, there are other jobs that might be kind of annoyed that you're out sick, but virtually everyone understands when you're physically incapable of getting out of bed without damaging your health, especially when you have the sick hours and don't abuse your time off either. Yet teachers, again, are expected to do that too. I'm sure if you ask any teacher in the United States, every single one of them will say that they've just come into work and powered through being really sick, since it would have been easier to do that than deal with being behind with content or with the hassle of trying to find a substitute. So many teachers get written up for not being more present at football games or not covering other classes when there's a need, since again, we're supposed to give everything of ourselves to the job at the expense of everything else. It comes down to simple work life balance and how there isn't any in education whatsoever. And look, yes, we deeply care about the kids, their success, and giving them the tools they need to succeed later in life, no matter what they end up choosing to do. But whether people want to admit it or not, or whether teachers want to call it out or not, teaching is just a job. We do that job, earn a paycheck, and we go home to our family, pets, and hobbies. We are not defined by our work. Teacher is a job title, not a way of life. Our lives shouldn't revolve around work in any job. And no, it shouldn't matter that we're in the business of teaching students. We need to stop comparing education to what you see in the movies or television shows, whether they're dramas or comedies. Films like Freedom Writers or Dead Poet Society that I referenced recently, which may be heartfelt and genuine, but are also divorced from reality. That and shows like Mr. Iglesias, which though is very funny and I watched the whole thing when it first aired, is also incredibly unrealistic. In fact, they are unrealistic to the point of being destructive sometimes. They portray this frankly unattainable standard for teachers to reach and make it seem that if you don't hold and extol an unhealthy passion, then you aren't fit to be a teacher. Even in Mr. Iglesias, there's a scene where he almost has to sell his car just so his students could win this ridiculous green initiative in their district that only mattered really to a few kids. And yes, you guessed it, the administrators too. That is seen as normal. And so is saying for all those late night sporting events, providing hours of free before and after school tutoring, being involved with the students' personal lives, and always waking up willing to be part of the new hip standard or curriculum initiative thought up by your school district. And you know what? Most of us did it, and for way too freaking long. We bought into these mentalities because we wanted to keep our job and live up to society's expectations of us. We wanted tenure, and we wanted to be liked by students, parents, and administrators. But as time went on, most of us woke up to how much we really didn't care about any of that. We started attending fewer things, spending less time at school when we could, and did what we had to just to appease those above us. And yet, they still found ways to criticize us anyway for not being more involved and not giving more of ourselves. The idea that teachers who leave work at dismissal are somehow bad teachers is absurd and only encourages the martyrdom complex inside of a career that already requires so much self sacrifice and mental fortitude. Not to mention having to simultaneously put up with the ever increasing levels of violence, decreasing levels of pay, loss of autonomy, professional babysitter mentality, and unrelenting stress that only serve to burn out teachers. The last thing we need is to be expected to be martyrs for our job too, since we knew what we signed up for. Well, we signed up to be teach kids, yes. We didn't sign up to be seen as something to be used and abused until we dropped. Again, teaching is ultimately just a job, and we need to stop adding more responsibilities and expectations onto the backs of teachers who have already broken under the pressure. Um, Hello, over 2 million have quit or retired early since the start of the pandemic because we woke up to how much we were being mistreated. The guilt tripping, unrealistic expectations, and paradoxical deprofessionalization and expectation of martyrdom of teachers is killing the profession. People want teachers to do it all, be omnipresent, and give of themselves, including all the way down to buying our own classroom supplies if you've forgotten about that one, while being given absolutely none of the respect or trust needed to even attempt being that person. We end up being martyrs for a system that doesn't even care about us. And it's one of the many reasons why I left and could never even conceive of going back. Well, guys, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing or ringing that bell button to get notified when I post a new video. Every single like helps the algorithm, and it would be incredibly appreciated. But for now, I've been Kevin, and I will see you in the next video.